Nilesh Shah has also been sitting here with us. Nilesh, this is a budget. It seems like it's a budget for everyone, right? They have a lot of funds, access to make all the right noises. But what are the top three things that you would be expecting this time? And can it really move the needle of the market?
I'm not sure they can move the needle of the market, but it will surely set the tone, the direction for not just the next 1 year, but maybe for the next 3 to 5 years in terms of what's the government's thinking. Especially when this government is so advantageously placed in terms of revenues that they have, that there's so much that can be done, and how they allocate these revenues is going to be the key. And so clearly the pet themes of the government have been the focus on infrastructure. It has been essentially giving a boost, spending more, focusing more on the investment side of the economy. And I see that as a big continuity going forward.
Okay, I want to unplug from the budget for a moment because the big gainer is Federal Bank now 5.96% higher. No, sorry, 3%, 6 rupees higher, doing extremely well. Now, I remember one of the first stocks I covered at a rally like this was UTI Bank. When PJ Naik was appointed, UTI Bank had gone through absolute shit. It was like, suspended from trading and stuff like that. But PJ Naik, it went from like higher to higher to high just after that announcement. 15 days of the stock going through the roof. Leadership can do magic. Your views on Federal Bank? No,
absolutely, Lata. Leadership can do magic, especially for a services industry like banking. I clearly believe that leadership can do a lot. We own Federal Bank. We've been owning it for more than a year now. I've had essentially the honor of working with Manian. And believe me, he's a seasoned banker, he's a go-getter, he's a performer. And I think it's a wonderful platform for him to really build on from what Shah has spent the last several years in terms of resurrecting Federal Bank. So to that extent, I think it's probably the best of all worlds right now for Federal Bank. A strong foundation and a strong leader now.
Okay, Nilesh, I'm going to come back to you, but let me go across to the other Nilesh.
Your patience. And you tell us, in the last 2 months, what has attracted you?
So I think in the last 2 months, the bank space has got surely more attractive, okay, because the markets have rallied, the banks haven't rallied as much. And we've seen from the recent earnings, the results are pretty okay. I mean, they're in line and obviously there's a potential to grow. And they probably seem set to kind of deliver mid-digit kind of growth. So that's one area which is kind of ended up being extremely attractive. I think the tier 2 tech space is looking even more attractive now. And clearly now, a lot of investors are realizing that it's time to kind of move away from the large cap IT and still kind of continue to focus on the second level of names. So that's another one area which is kind of turned attractive.
Do you like the autos by any chance? I mean, there's I think you've never liked the auto space.
No, I
right?
still think I'm a big believer yet of auto anchs. Okay. I still believe you remain OEM agnostic. You really don't care whether it's two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, it's EVs, it's ICs, whether it's domestic market, global markets, it's replacement market. I think auto anchs essentially kind of are well poised to continue to deliver to you a very linear kind of a growth. Okay. The numbers there are way more predictable versus the OEM side. So I prefer to have the auto anchs. Did own Tata Motors, Mahindra & Mahindra at some point of time, but obviously now post this run-up, I have exited in them.
Guys, Lata, you use that phrase, what is the stock which has caught your attention in the run-up to the budget? You know what has caught my eye? A stock called MTNL. I mean, it'll come up on your screen. Just look at MTNL in the last 1 month. Actually, the last 7 days, the stock has doubled. I'm not sure if there is anything really happening there, or this the run-up in anticipation of something coming through in the budget. I think we were chatting earlier that I think all they have is really land, land holdings in prime locations like Mumbai, etc. I'm not sure, but that's a big mover. It's got huge volumes as well.
Only 2 cities, Mumbai and Delhi. So why will their real estate not be precious? And I would respect the screen a lot. If it's trying to tell you that something is coming in terms of, divestment of assets of PSUs or something, that makes eminent sense. And the real estate cycle is in favor of such an action.
Nilesh, housing. I want to talk about. You were saying that that's a prime sector through which, the government can push sort of consumption lower end, etc. What's the best play there in housing? Is it housing finance or actual sort of builders, etc., contractors? What's the sense?
I still believe housing finance is a better place to be in.
Okay.
I think there's a lot more consistency in terms of their performance, consistency in terms of their growth. And if you essentially can spot the ones which are essentially pretty strong in terms of their underwriting standards and manage their loan books quite well, I think housing finance is a great place to be.
Any picks there? What you like?
What we have been owning for while now is Home First Financial. I think that's essentially a company which has been growing at about 30%. It's been expanding the ROEs by about 100 basis points. They're well capitalized. I think it's a top-class management team in place. So I think it's been great. Just that, of course, the overhang of some of the PE funds being large shareholders and they wanting to kind of prune their stake once in a while is the overhang. But I think as a business, I think it's an outstanding business.
For this entire consumption, which others have pointed out as well, what's the best levered play? One or two names, which you think, if there is a real concerted effort to boost that lower end?
On the lower end, I still believe majority of the staples market is saturated. I think the big boys, essentially, I think are all in very saturated markets. I don't think any of them have the potential to grow even at high single digit or in double digits. I don't think so. Maybe right now, probably the two-wheeler space has got the growth momentum. For how long, it's hard to say, but at least for the next few quarters, I probably think two-wheelers, if you take that as a proxy for consumption at the lower end, not that a 1 lakh rupee bike is kind of the low end, but nevertheless, that's what it is.
But that's a better way to...
I think it's probably a better way.
I have one question on consumption since Prashant brought it up. Since there's more money that could be in the hands of consumers, both in terms of perhaps bringing the taxes down as well as rural consumption, right? These e-commerce players, whether it is Zomato, whether it is Nykaa, Honasa, even the just pure food delivery, guys, etc. Is this a space where you think that there could be more upside?
I'm not sure how good are these proxies for the rural side. They probably are great proxies for the urban side, the urban middle class, the urban lower middle class. I think they're great proxies, but I still think that these are more kind of aspirational products or services where I think there's anyway going to be good demand. They have the momentum going for them. Tailwinds are very strong. I probably think the runway of growth for maybe the next 5-10 years is still very, very long and very high for these players. So I would still anyway prefer this space irrespective of what really happens with today's budget.
I think Nilesh
the market
has...
is showing the first sign of a red, very little, but...
flattish. No, on that platform point, you own PB FinTech. I mean, stuff we discussed earlier, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You like Paytm
that's
as well?
right. That's right.
Anything else there?
So yeah, we like all these names. I think there's a great space to be. And Prashant, our big call is that the way you probably owned some of these consumer names 20 years back and they became huge compounding stories, I probably think all these platform companies as a basket probably are great compounding stories maybe for the next 5-10 years.
Okay. Nilesh, thank you very much for being with us on a very important day, and we are going to harass you after the budget as well. For the moment, it's back to Shireen.